SpaceX's first true Super Heavy booster has made it to the launch site. A few days ago, technicians installed 29 Raptor engines on a Super Heavy known as Booster 4 at SpaceX's Starbase site, near the South Texas village of Boca Chia. And today, August 3rd, the company rolled the 230-foot-tall, 70 meters, Booster 4 from its build facility to the launch site, a few kilometers down the road.
SpaceX will soon start subjecting Booster 4 to a series of pressurization and engine tests. If all goes well with those trials, the rocket will be poised for an orbital launch attempt, which could occur within the next few months. Super Heavy is the first stage of Starship, a fully reusable, two-stage transportation system that SpaceX is developing to carry people and cargo to the Moon, Mars and other distant destinations. NASA recently selected Starship as the crewed lander for its Artemis program, which aims to establish a sustainable human presence on and around the Moon by the end of the 2020s. Starship's upper stage is a 165-foot tall, 50 meters, spacecraft that is also known, somewhat confusingly, as Starship. The final Starship spacecraft will have 6 Raptors, and the final Super Heavy will likely be powered by 32 of the engines, SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk has said. Starship spacecraft prototypes have launched before. This past May, for example, a 3-engine vehicle known as SN-15, serial number 15, flew to a maximum altitude of 6.2 miles, 10 kilometers, and came down for a safe landing back on Earth. SpaceX performed engine tests last month on Booster 4's predecessor, the 3 Raptor Booster 3, but no Super Heavy has gotten off the ground to date. Booster 4 will change that, if all goes according to plan. SpaceX plans to launch the rocket, topped with the SN-20 Starship prototype, from Starbase on an uncrewed orbital test mission. Shortly after launch, Booster 4 will splash down in the Gulf of Mexico, about 20 miles, 32 kilometers, offshore. SN-20 will power itself to orbit, complete one loop around our planet and come down in the Pacific Ocean near the Hawaiian island of Kauai, about 90 minutes after liftoff. It's unclear when Booster 4 and SN-20 will fly. Even if the duo sail through all their pre-launch checkouts and tests, logistical roadblocks may yet keep them grounded. For example, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration is performing an environmental review of Starship's launch operations, and we don't know when that will wrap up. In a marked increase to the already impressive production cadence at SpaceX Starbase, it's all hands on deck with Booster 4 and Ship 20 preparations ahead of the duo meeting at the launch site. Booster 4 was stacked on Sunday, with all 29 Raptors installed by Monday morning. It then rolled to the launch site on Tuesday and was installed on the orbital launch mount on Wednesday. Ship 20 has since moved into the vacated high bay for nose-cone mating, which was completed ahead of Wednesday morning. While the orbital launch attempt is not imminent, the duo is expected to undergo a series of ground testing objectives, including multiple static fire tests for the booster. This will also provide time to complete the final elements of the orbital launch site, OLS, from which the duo will conduct the milestone test flight. Path to Booster 4/Ship 20. Following a short ground testing campaign with Booster 3, which included cryoproofing and a 3-engine static fire test, the focus is now on what will become the first integrated stack of a Super Heavy booster and a Starship vehicle. A rollout down Highway 4 occurred Tuesday. However, its actual pad destination was not confirmed until the roll was complete. It was always likely to be the orbital launch site, OLS, based on recent tweets from Elon Musk. This is set to be achieved in double-quick time, following a call to arms from SpaceX to its workforce. This included the transportation of hundreds of workers from other sites in the country, as per a memo leaked on Facebook. That was later confirmed by the local media reporting high booking uptake in the local hotels, along with extra parking capacity at Starbase. Elon Musk has since confirmed that Starbase is in a Warp 9 surge. Vehicle preparations on Booster 4 are continuing inside the high bay, where all the sections were staged for final mating operations. This included the thrust section with its impressive set of plumbing spread over the thrust puck. Another first-time operation also took place late last week, with the first installation of a grid fin. Notably, for Booster 4, at least, these grid fins will remain extended through the entire flight, contrasting with those on Falcon 9 which only deploy after stage separation. By Sunday, all 4 grid fins were installed on Booster 4 and painted black. Tweaks to the forward plan remain on the cards, with Elon Musk tweeting, "Grid fin designs clearly work, but do they maximize payload? Good chance that they do not. Something with much more drag to reduce terminal velocity and so reduce landing propellant might have better performance. Not sure. Potential future optimization." SpaceX had numerous options on the path to seeing such a stack taking its position next to the OLS tower, likely determined by the pad's own readiness. Completing the launch tower's fixed service structure was marked by installing the 9th and final section. A small lightning tower rod is yet to be added atop this section. The tower is also yet to receive its catching arms mechanism, which is likely to double up as providing the capability of stacking starships with the boosters. No separate crane is set to be added to the top of the tower. At the base, the long-awaited rollout and installation of the launch table from the production facility provided the final piece to the launch mount puzzle. The 370-ton piece of hardware will host the booster and provide the hold-down points, receiving the title Stage 0 from Chief Engineer Elon Musk on Twitter. However, a lot of work remains before a booster can be fully tested on the table, which led to the assumption Booster 4 will, at some point, pay a visit to the suborbital launch site. Simply sitting on the OLS table now appears only to be a near-term goal. With its 2 pads, albeit with one currently occupied by Booster 3, an interim plan could allow for Booster 4 to head to the suborbital site after full stack fit checks, allowing it to complete its predecessor's path of cryoproofing and engine testing, this time moving past the 3-engine test, eventually firing up 9 Raptors. Booster 4 would then be moved back to the Orbital Launch Site Pad, OLP, for a pre-launch campaign to eventually include a full 29-engine set static fire test. As such, the most likely option was for Booster 4 to immediately head to the OLP, ready to receive Ship 20, for fit checks and photo opportunities. This would be ahead of the aforementioned test campaign that would likely occur at the suborbital site. As per usual, Elon Musk often provides good clues to the near-term plans, referencing the launch table installation with needs to be level and match booster fittings. We will find out on Tuesday, as tweeted this weekend. Booster 4 did head directly to the OLS on Tuesday, with a lift onto the OLP completed on Wednesday. Numerous deliveries of Raptors have taken place over the past number of days, including at least 3 vacuum-optimized engines. While there are likely to be enough engines at Starbase to allow for a full configuration vehicle to be processed at the launch site, the actual flight engines are not expected to be installed until after the 9-engine static fire test. Meanwhile, Starship 20, Ship 20, was being processed inside the mid-bay, ahead of its own journey to the high bay for nosecone mating. It is likely that Ship 20 will initially undergo ground testing at suborbital Pad B, either before or after it has enjoyed its first integrated stack opportunity with Booster 4. Ship 20 received its aero surfaces in the form of the aft flaps, which are smaller in scale and thus lighter on S20 and beyond. This has been a benefit of lessons learned during the high-altitude flight test campaign. Meanwhile, the nosecone is undergoing TPS, Thermal Protection System, installation. It is also undergoing the installation of the flaps, for the first time covered in their own TPS, pointing to its speedy processing towards its eventual mate atop Ship 20. Unlike previously flown starships, during their high-altitude hops, Ship 20 will be the first to launch into orbit, thus requiring the entire windward side of the vehicle to be covered in TPS tiles. A look to the future. While Booster 4 and Ship 20 will both end up in the ocean at the conclusion of the test flight, Mary, at Boca Chicago, has already spotted sections for Booster 5 and Ship 21. Clues to the future have either already been on view or confirmed via Elon Musk. Firstly, a Pathfinder nosecone was observed in recent days. This will be a key element of Starship's opening operational flights, likely to begin with lofting huge amounts of Starlink satellites. Such Pathfinder operations are likely to continue on future spare nosecones as the design evolves. Elon Musk also provided encouraging news about the down mass capability of Starship, albeit with a one-word answer, sure, when asked if Starship could be used to return Hubble from orbit at the end of its lifetime, allowing it to be put on display, as opposed to suffering from a destructive re-entry. SpaceX's chief engineer also provided an update on the expansion of Starbase, with a new high base set to rise out of the ground in the coming months. In expanded comments, Musk added that the new facility would be only slightly taller but much wider. This will allow for increased cadence with the stacking of sections to cater for SpaceX's rapidly reusable rockets. Photos and videos provided by Mary, at Boca Chicago, and Gary Blair. Additional information and article assistance provided by Adrian Bale, Leo Bruce, and Pierre Bou.